So you finally said it. The line they told you never to cross. The truth they tried to bury under layers of silence and fear. You said it out loud. And in that instant, the air changed. Every whisper stopped. Every mask froze mid-smile. Even the walls listened. You weren't supposed to do that, were you? You weren't supposed to speak with that tone, the one that cuts through performance and hits nerve. You weren't supposed to expose the script everyone agreed to pretend was reality. You weren't supposed to remember who you were before they taught you obedience, but you did. And now, the room feels colder because truth always drops the temperature. You felt it too, didn't you? That shift, that magnetic pulse that rippled through everyone's chest. That was power leaving their control and returning to yours. You didn't ask for permission. You detonated it. That's why they flinched, why eyes darted to the floor, why the brave ones swallowed hard before saying, "That was deep." Deep number. It was dangerous. It was real. It was the kind of sentence that burns the paper it's written on. They built entire systems to keep people from saying what you just said. Whole cultures of silence, whole hierarchies of fear. They conditioned politeness into paralysis. They wrapped truth in layers of professionalism and timing, just to keep the real ones from slipping through the cracks. But you slipped anyway, didn't you? You bled honesty where everyone else paints lies. You cracked open the door, and now every suppressed thought in that room is clawing for daylight. You want to know why they looked at you like that? Because your words didn't fit the atmosphere. You dragged lightning into a church of candles. You spoke fire into a world addicted to fog. You made people feel something they couldn't sanitize, and now they can't unhear it. They'll replay it in their heads tonight. The way you said it, the way your voice didn't shake, the way it felt like you were saying what their soul had been screaming for years. They'll call you bold. They'll call you unhinged. They'll call you too much, but they won't call you wrong, because deep down, they know that moment was a mirror. And what you said didn't just expose them, it exposed you. You tore your own mask off in public and smiled through the blood. That's why it hit so hard. You didn't deliver a speech. You confessed a truth that made their hearts skip a beat. You didn't just speak. You triggered every sleeping rebel in earshot. You reawakened something sacred and sinister all at once. The saint in you spoke with the venom of the sinner. The angel in you sharpened its halo into a blade. And that's what they fear, that paradox. You didn't choose light or dark. You became the intersection. You became both. Now they'll pretend they're fine. They'll scroll. They'll move on. But they're subconscious. It's pacing. It's replaying your words on loop, like a glitch in the system, because what you said wasn't supposed to happen here. Not in this timeline. Not in this obedient little simulation they call society. You were supposed to stay quiet, nod politely, and die of emotional suffocation. Instead, you coughed up truth like poison and smiled through the aftertaste. Let's be honest, you scared them, not because you're loud, but because you're clear, because your voice didn't tremble like theirs. Because you didn't decorate your truth with apologies or disclaimers. You just dropped it like a guillotine. And when the blade hit, they realized you weren't trying to win. You were trying to free. Now look around. The air feels thinner, doesn't it? You cracked open something collective, a silence older than you. You spoke what entire generations swallowed. You shifted the current. And now, everyone's acting normal because that's what humans do when they witness revolution. They pretend it didn't happen. But deep down, they're infected. You are the contagion now. the virus of awareness, the glitch in their programming. And that's the part they can't fix. Because no one can unhear a revelation. No one can unknow the moment they saw truth stand up in a crowded lie. That's what you did. You stood up in a world of bent spines. And in doing so, you became unpredictable, dangerous, untouchable. They'll whisper your name now, but not in admiration. In analysis, they'll ask what possessed them to say that. And the answer, my friend, is simple. Freedom. The kind that doesn't need permission, validation, or applause. The kind that burns politely built prisons to the ground. So yeah, you weren't supposed to say that. But goddamn, you did. And every cell in the system felt the tremor. You cracked reality just enough for the light to slip through. And that's all it takes. One truth, set at the right frequency, can make empires tremble. And tonight, while they're pretending nothing happened, you'll smile. Because you'll know. You'll know that silence is over. And every echo they hear from now on sounds a little like you. And here's the part they'll never admit out loud. You didn't just speak. You shifted timelines. You dropped a sentence that tore through their psychological armor like a bullet made of honesty. And the funny thing is, you didn't even raise your voice. You just said it, calm, precise, surgical. And yet, it landed like thunder in a cathedral built for whispers. You know that feeling? Right after you say something forbidden. That pause, where time holds its breath and everyone looks around to see who else noticed. That's the sound of control dying. That's the sound of the collective realizing. Someone broke the spell. You did. You broke it clean. No ceremony, no warning, no mercy. Just truth. You became a living glitch in their ritual, because for years they've rehearsed obedience like theater, fake smiles, safe opinions, edited emotions, and then you, with your haunted calm and unapologetic clarity, walked in and spoke a sentence that didn't match the script. You didn't read their lines, you rewrote them, and now every one of them has to pretend they're not unraveling. They'll talk about your tone. They'll say you were too intense or not professional or should have phrased it differently. They'll nitpick the delivery because they can't handle the message. That's how the fragile hide from truth. They critique the thunder instead of facing the storm. But deep down, they know what happened. They felt the shift in their bones, because words like that don't come from the mouth. They come from the abyss, from the parts of you they tried to bury alive. You didn't speak from the tongue, you spoke from the wound. And that's why it hit with the precision of prophecy. You think angels speak in light? Number. Sometimes angels use blood. Sometimes divinity sounds like defiance. Sometimes grace looks like madness wearing a grin. And you embodied all of it. The calm of a saint, the glare of a demon, the poise of someone who's already walked through hell and came back fluent in silence. That's why they couldn't move. Because when you spoke, you didn't ask for power, you embodied it. There's a difference between people who talk and people who transmit. You didn't make noise, you shifted frequencies, you tuned into something primal, a forgotten truth frequency that doesn't need validation. It's the tone of those who've suffered long enough to stop fearing consequence. And you know what's terrifying about that? You can't be controlled anymore. You crossed the invisible line, the one that separates the obedient from the awakened. You stopped trying to be understood. You stopped trying to sound palatable. You traded approval for authenticity, and that's a currency they can't tax. Now they're nervous, because when someone speaks truth like that once, it's never just once. It becomes a contagion. Others start whispering their own forbidden thoughts. One by one, quiet voices rise, and the whole illusion starts to shake. That's the nightmare. Not that you said something wrong, but that your courage worked, that your raw honesty might spread, that silence might finally lose its grip. And they'll try to punish you for it. They'll isolate you, gaslight you, call you arrogant, unhinged, dangerous, because they think shame is a leash strong enough to pull a truth-teller back into submission. But you've seen too much now, haven't you? You've tasted what it's like to speak without a filter, to breathe without pretending. Once you've done that, silence feels like suffocation. Lies feel like poison. You didn't just open your mouth. You opened a portal, a crack between dimensions, the one where they hide their fear and call it logic. And from that moment on, they could sense it. You don't belong to their hierarchy anymore. You don't bend. You don't plead. You don't crave belonging because you've met something holier than acceptance. Truth. They hate that calm that came after. The calm of someone who's seen their own darkness and made peace with it. You wear it like armor, not flashy, not loud, but terrifyingly still. Because what's scarier than someone who no longer needs to be liked? Someone who's fluent in silence yet chooses to speak only when it matters. And it mattered. Because that one moment, that one sentence, it wasn't rebellion for show. It was resurrection. Every time you swallowed your truth, a piece of you died quietly. But when you finally said it, those fragments came back to life. You felt your lungs expand like it was the first breath after drowning. And everyone around you could feel it too. They could feel your rebirth. And it threatened every lie they'd ever built comfort around. Now you walk different. You look different, you feel different. You became living proof that freedom isn't earned. It's taken, and once taken, it cannot be returned. So don't shrink now. Don't apologize for setting fire to their illusions. Don't let guilt disguise itself as humility. You didn't overreact. You realigned. You brought the frequency back to truth. And when the world feels unstable, that's not chaos. That's correction. Because every great collapse starts with one brave sentence. And yours. It echoed through rooms, through minds, through timelines. You said the one thing everyone was too scared to say. And that made you dangerous in all the right ways. You didn't just speak. You shifted reality. And when history replays this moment, they'll realize that was the second everything started to break open. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what was supposed to happen. They'll pretend they've moved on, but you can feel it. That faint tremor in the air when you walk into a room, that cautious silence before someone dares to speak again. It's not respect, and it's not fear. It's the quiet awareness that something irreversible has happened. You tore the veil. And once the veil is gone, the actors can't act the same. They still move their mouths, still follow the script. But the illusion's cracked, hasn't it? You see the wires. You see the panic behind their rehearsed smiles. And they know you see it. You spoke once and the world started listening differently. Even the ones who hated it, especially the ones who hated it. Because hate is just fascination that doesn't know how to confess itself. They replay your words in secret, dissect them in private, try to find where the power came from. But there's no formula for authenticity. You can't replicate something born out of pain. That's the thing they'll never understand. You didn't say it to win. You said it to breathe. It wasn't rebellion, it was survival. You weren't trying to be brave. You were trying not to drown. And when truth came up your throat like salt water, you let it spill. That's why it hit, because it wasn't rehearsed, it was real. And real scares people more than violence ever could. They'll tolerate anger, they'll tolerate chaos, but they won't tolerate clarity. Because clarity means no more excuses, no more hiding behind systems, no more pretending they didn't know better. Clarity makes everyone accountable, and you handed them a mirror they didn't ask for. You didn't mean to hold that mirror, did you? You were just done lying to yourself. But when you held it up, they saw every shadow they've been running from. And now they flinch at the sight of you, because you remind them what they buried. The saint in you whispered the truth. The demon in you refused to edit it. That combination is lethal, because mercy without fear is ignored and fear without truth is wasted. But you carried both, calm and chaos, grace and grime. And that's why it worked. You didn't just say something dangerous, you said it beautifully. You dressed fire in poetry, and people always mistake that for madness until it burns them awake. And maybe it was madness, the holy kind, the kind that breaks spells and births revolutions, because sanity in a broken world is just another disguise. And you took yours off. You chose honesty over belonging, authenticity over applause. That's what made it art. That's what made it immortal. Now look at you, walking through the ruins of their comfort zones like it's a battlefield. You didn't destroy them, you revealed them. You stripped away their camouflage and left their fear standing naked. You did what prophets do. You spoke before the world was ready to listen. And here's the secret no one tells you. Prophets are always punished before they're praised. They'll call you arrogant, dramatic, delusional, because it's easier than admitting you were right. That's how society cleanses guilt. They crucify the messenger, then worship the echo. But don't you dare shrink now. Don't you dare silence yourself to make the world comfortable again. You already saw what your words can do, how they move through the cracks like smoke, how they linger long after the crowd goes home. That's not coincidence. That's power acknowledging itself. You think this was just a moment? Number. This was an awakening, the sound of you becoming impossible to forget. They'll imitate you now, not because they understand, but because they can't ignore. They'll start talking like you, dressing like you, thinking they can borrow your gravity without earning your pain. Let them try. They'll learn the hard way that authenticity isn't a costume, it's a scar. You've already paid your price in silence, in exile. In nights, you stayed awake, wondering if maybe you should have kept your mouth shut. But that's how truth tests its messengers. With loneliness first, with legacy later. Because this isn't about being liked, this is about being undeniable. And you are. They can twist your words, delete your videos, burn your name from their narratives, but they can't unfeel what you made them feel. That's the curse and the crown of those who speak before the world is ready. Their words live longer than their names, so let them call it chaos. Let them say you broke something, because you did. You broke their obedience. You broke their performance. You broke the myth that silence equals peace. You were never supposed to say it, but you did. And now the world has to rearrange itself around the echo. That's how revolutions start. Not with explosions, not with banners, but with one person who finally says the thing everyone else was too afraid to admit. One voice brave enough to tear the hush wide open. You are that voice. The hush is gone, and now every time someone else dares to speak truth, whether they know it or not, they'll be speaking in your frequency. And deep down, you already knew this ending wasn't going to be soft. You can feel it now. That electric quiet that follows a storm. The kind of stillness that means something permanent has changed. You cross the threshold, and there's no walking back through it. Once you've said the unsayable, the world never sounds the same again. They'll wait for you to apologize. They'll wait for the clarification, for the retraction, for the softer version that makes them feel safe again. But you won't give it to them. You can't. Because to take it back would be to kill the part of you that finally learned how to breathe. You didn't say those words to start a war. You said them because pretending peace while choking on silence is its own kind of death. Now you stand where very few ever stand, in that lonely space between what you were and what you're becoming. It's not glory, it's clarity. It's the ache that comes when every illusion burns off and only truth remains. And it hurts, doesn't it? To see everything so clearly, to feel everything so sharply. But that's the price of sight. That's the cost of freedom. Look around. You see them trying to rebuild the lie, painting over the cracks you left. Let them. Paint can't fix foundations. Let them decorate the ruins. You know the structure already collapsed the moment your words left your mouth. And someday, maybe not today, maybe not for years, they'll understand. They'll realize you weren't reckless, you were real. That your defiance wasn't ego. It was evolution. That what they called chaos was just honesty, stripped of its filters. They'll quote you without realizing they once cursed you. They'll teach what they tried to erase. That's how truth works. It doesn't need to win arguments. It just needs to survive time. So breathe. You did what you came here to do. You turned silence into a weapon. You turned fear into art. You turned one fragile sentence into a fault line that cracked open the sleepwalking world. You weren't supposed to say it, but you did. And because you did, everything changed. Maybe not for them yet, but for you. You woke up. You burned through the fiction. And now, when they whisper your name with that mix of awe and unease, when they act like they don't remember what you said but can't quite look you in the eye, that's the proof. You became the moment they'll never outrun. The voice they'll keep hearing long after the noise fades. The silence breaker, the truth speaker, the one who crossed the line and found there was never a line to begin with. So walk away calm, leave the ashes where they fall. Because some sentences aren't meant to be repeated. They're meant to echo forever.